Plugin of the week is the UVI Sparkverb. UVI is a company based out of France, and this company UVI specializes really more in synths and vintage emulations of synths and vintage keyboards. They have all kinds of sample libraries. They have a ton of stuff, including also a new delay unit, which looks really cool, which I may review in the coming weeks. This one is the Sparkverb, and this is actually a product that's actually been used in a lot of their synth plugins, and they split it out into a separate reverb unit, and it's actually very, very cool. So there are many like unique features about this that make this a really valuable reverb, because there's so many reverb plugins on the market, but when something does something really unique or unusual, or maybe the graphic user interface offers some features that you don't normally see that can be very helpful, then this is a great one, and it really gets you out of a lot of pinch in a lot of different situations. So let's start. So what I have here is the default setup here. The Sparkverb itself has a size as the primary setup. You have pre-delay, shape, which makes it a little bit more echo-like or a little bit more reverberant. It's got a freeze feature, which is very cool. I'll show you. You can add some modulation. There's a general coloration or tonal color that you can add to it, right? Which is kind of cool. You can go a little lo-fi, which is great for those a little bit more digitized kind of verbs and stuff like that. You have reverb decay shaping. Okay, so you'll have the overall decay, which is the reverb time, and then you also have crossover points, which allows you to change the reverb time within specific frequency areas, which is cool and not an unusual element to a plugin, but we'll kind of go on from here. Then you also have a mix control, right? So it starts off by default here when you load it up at 50%, but we'll make it 100% wet, so we have it in a send return configuration. We have a high frequency roll off. Okay, so this is like a high frequency filter. Now on the EQ sections, they're shelving EQs for low and high end, and then you can set a crossover point or frequency point, which either adds more decay or increases it. So it's like a shelving crossover, not a shelving EQ, meaning you get more reverb time, not more amount of, although technically more of it, or longer sustain of below 250 cycles, but on a shelving characteristic. Otherwise, you could put it into a filter to kind of make it a little bit more, high frequency or to tone down the overall character there, because this just works on the high frequencies. And you can do the same thing here. So this gives you some control on that end. And then you have separate diffusion controls, which are always helpful here. A density amount, right? So the density is really important. This adds like how many reflections. So you can make something really thick and dense to warm something up, or you can make it really sparse to kind of open it up, and you kind of figure out what it is. Now, there's a bunch of unique things here. On the interface here at the top, you have the normal thing where you can load up presets for different things, right? So you have lots of different presets and some really cool ones in the large to endless stuff, which we'll kind of get into in a little bit. They also have a unique feature here, which is the Voyager Setup. And this is all the presets, essentially, are kind of designed for different things. And so you see different categories: halls, plates, a large to endless, vocal, room, drums and percussion, etc. So these different categories at different colors. And so all these dots allow you to sort of select presets, but not just presets, but sort of combinations of presets. So instead of loading up just a full preset, you can get something that is in between a variety of other presets. Ridiculous. Okay, so we'll kind of feature a little bit of that stuff. There's an A/B thing here, so that you can kind of compare two plugins to each other, right? So this is just switches back between the normal mode where you see the spectrum and the Voyager mode. So we'll kind of get to that. Then there's like some other features which are randomizing the parameters, and then there's a mutate parameters. So this is something where if you call up a basic sound and you think, okay, yeah, this is like a really good starting place, let me go in and kind of do some, like, step through a bunch of quick changes to kind of see like if there's just some random settings that kind of pull up really quick. So it's kind of cool. And so let's start by listening. So let's start by having a vocal, and then we'll put some different things into it. So here, I just...
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying.
Okay, so here we have just like, this is the default preset here. We could do things like load up, like for example, a plate Let's go plate attitude. Let's see what that's all about.
Slow down, baby, take a moment
Now,
and breathe.
Now, when you load up parameters, for example, here, you may find that certain things like the mix always switches up to 50%. So what I could do here is I can take on any feature, I can do this, I can control click or right click and lock the that parameter. So now when if I load up another setting or a preset here,
Slow down, baby.
that will always stay 100% wide. So if I have like for example, a reverb time that I want to stay at, I can actually kind of keep any individual parameter locked into place if that's sort of a sonic characteristic that I want, and then I can kind of work from there. So we could kind of toggle through some presets.
Take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying. Stop for a minute. Come sit there with me. I can see you're afraid, and I don't know what to tell you. You're scared at my face.
So let's start with like a simple thing here, just so we can kind of show off some parameters. So we have a medium hall here. So if I wanted to add some warmth into this, then I can actually do this. So you see like there's more of a reverb time characteristic. I can actually go there, grab this, and drag the display and increase the reverb time on the low or on the high end. Right, so here I can add presence and air,
down, baby. Take a moment and breathe.
which is a little bit too busy.
I can't hear what you're saying.
And the middle section ends up being like the overall characteristic, and then I can kind of tone down and balance each section out.
Down, baby. Take a moment and breathe.
And if I want this is set to 12K, I can actually lower this frequency, and now this tone control grabs a larger area.
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying. Stop for a minute, come sit there with me. I can see you're afraid, and I don't know what to tell you. You're scared at my failure.
So now I can get something like basic like this. I can increase or decrease the size.
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying.
Really nice kind of tight space here. I can open it up and, oops, let me get my ballistics right here.
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying. Stop for a minute, come sit there with me.
Which I kind of like that. Okay, now I can add some diffusion in here.
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying.
This is actually the way that they kind of set this up is a little bit more like a like an early reflections, so I can have it.
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying. Stop for a minute, come sit there with me.
And then I can play with the density, so if I want it to be a little more open sounding.
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying. Stop for a minute, come sit there with me. I can see you're afraid, and I don't know what to tell you. You're scared at my failure.
So here, there's loads of controls here, and sort of a lot of the things that you would normally expect here. Now, let me work with the shape here a little bit, just to kind of show you what this is. So this is on its lowest setting. So this is actually changing the shape of the space.
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying.
A little more natural sounding.
Stop for a minute, come sit there with me. I can see you're afraid, and I don't know what to tell you. You're scared at my failure, and so you're leaving here before it goes wrong. Don't you know you can't keep running from where you belong?
So it's pretty amazing because like just with that, you can really get like you can hear like how much amazing dynamic control that you have over just like a simple basic setting here in terms of shaping and kind of grabbing the reverb. And this doesn't even include like a modulation thing, which is kind of...
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying. Stop for a minute, come sit there with me. I can see you're afraid, and I don't know what to tell you. You're scared I might fail you, and so you're leaving here before it goes wrong. Don't you know you can't keep running from where you belong?
Which is kind of cool because you can add like a little bit of a chorusing modulation type of effect, and you can create some unusual, characteristics with that. So it's quite cool, like you got this basic thing. Let's just hear this in the track for a little bit.
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying. Stop for a minute, come sit there with me. I can see you're afraid, and I don't know what to tell you. You're scared I might fail you, and so you're leaving here before it.
Maybe a little bit much, but in terms of the amount of it, but kind of really, really cool effect. Creates an amazing space here. So I like this so much, I'm actually going to hold on to that and then open up a second one here, and then and now we can kind of experiment a little bit. Now, there's all kinds of cool things. So like, let's say I go over here to this Voyager mode here, and this is kind of really cool. So let's just kind of go through some things here. So I can actually, so there's an even hide. I guess that's...
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying. Stop for a minute, come sit there with me. I can see you're afraid, and I don't know what to tell you. You're scared I might fail you, and so you're leaving here before it goes wrong. Don't you know you can't keep running from where you belong again? Oh yeah, and I'll find you again. Pretend, oh yeah, and I'll find.
So there's some really cool things here. So now if I actually scroll in here, right? So if you have a trackpad, this is, or if you have a wheel on your mouse, now what you could do is you could say, well, what aspects of these different reverb things do I want here? And so I'm going to take this mix control. I'm going to keep it 100% wet here. So let me just lock this into place here. And now what I could do is I can actually kind of find...
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying. Stop for a minute, come sit there with me. I can see you're afraid, and I don't know what to tell you. You're scared I might fail you, and so you're leaving here before it goes wrong. Don't you know you can't keep running from where you belong?
So, like, as you kind of morph it, it's really cool. Like, so what it's doing is it's sort of taking on the characteristics of 3 different presets within that, and then it kind of morphs them instantly into all these things. And now, if you look at it, like, in terms of, so let's like zoom out. Like, so this is our, like, I guess Voyager, this is our universe view. This is the Milky Way. And, so as we, kind of scroll in here to any given thing, we can kind of see, where it is that we're at, select it, and then it kind of dials up these presets. So it doesn't necessarily keep like what your setup is over here. From this point, you could say, I kind of like that as a starting place. So let me kind of, work with the settings from here and kind of play with it. And there, like, locking the mix setting in is really important, because that way you can keep at least that aspect of it right. And then the width control, which I can't believe I missed there, is a really important one. Like to create like some really like super wide reverb. There's another parameter here. There's a bunch of different parameters here which are kind of cool. One I want to show you, which is the freeze control. And so this is something that we can work from on top.
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying.
And what it'll do is it'll maintain an infinite reverb based on a sample of whatever it is that you got. So like if you ever...
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can't hear what you're saying.
it's just really cool. It's like you could just capture some really like outer space kind of things, just freeze any instant. Like you could throw it. This is like one of those things like, oh, I want this infinite reverb on the end of the song. So you just sort of get some really long reverb setting, and then you just go like automate it to switch on just for that last note, and then boom, and then you get this big long infinite thing, and then you can kind of fade it out. Really, really cool. I mean, I love this. This is like ridiculous if you do any kind of sound design work, right, for film and stuff like that, you know, where you could see that you can, you know, where you need these sort of maybe unusual effects to create kind of a spooky vibe kind of thing. I'm just going to move this out of the way for a second. I just sort of set up a couple of samples here. This is just like a snare drum. And so this, because there are some really, really cool presets in the long to endless category. Here's Abyss. And here I can set up like a 30-second reverb time. Let's see. I've done this with also with some cool things with like vocals and stuff like that. Let's see if I can feed a little bit more strength into here, and let's do another one. Oh, this one we would want to have it. Some of them have like longer characteristics than others. Let's see here. Here's Endless. Now they're all starting to sound the same, which makes me really think like I've done something wrong. I've done these like they become more unique. I think maybe this isn't the best example if like you feed like an instrument into it. So let me just do that. Let me grab some other kind of keyboard or note or something like that from all of this. Let's see, what do I got here? Like right at the end. How about a Hammond organ right here at the end? And 39 and 40. Let's see. This is called Winging It. Oh, wait a minute. That's an insert. Let me switch back. And let's just... This is definitely called Winging It. Here we go. All right, and let's go to Platinum. Not impressive. That was Reverb Nation, by the way. That one's very cool for this type of thing. It actually like is a great way of extending that note, like if you wanted that note to hang out longer. This has a little more character now, a little more movement. That one wasn't so special for this. Anyway, I think you get the basic idea here. Okay, so I could have come up with some better examples for that. There are those things, like when you get into them, can be really, really, really cool. So I'm sorry, I apologize for not having like a better one. And then they have like really good presets for vocals, like just rooms, you know, for different types of rooms. Percussive stuff, ensemble sort of chorus effect type of things. And you can really get, you get into some really cool stuff. But I think you can really see like the depth and character and stuff that you can get from this reverb. It's a really cool one. Great one in a pinch. It just has so much flexibility and so much that you could do with it. You can really see how it's easy to shape and create sounds. Oh, the one quick thing that I didn't do here, and maybe I'll just go back to the vocal here for a second, which was to just kind of go through some of the randomized control. So I'll just do that real quick.
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe.
So this is like crazy changing.
Stop for a minute, come sit there with me. I can see you're afraid, and I don't know what to tell you. You're scared of my failure, and so you're leaving here before it goes wrong.
So this is more like a way of taking something and saying, oh, okay, I don't know what I'm doing here. Let me just kind of go a little bit crazy here.
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe.
Now this does a little more of a subtle kind of thing.
Hear what you're saying. Stop for a minute, come sit there with me. I can see you're afraid, and I don't know what to tell you.
And here, if I wanted like a specific reverb time, I could just take this and lock this, and then
Slow down, baby, take a moment and breathe. I can hear what you're saying. Stop for a minute, come sit there with me.
And what is kind of cool is it gives you like variations on the same reverb. So like you can call up a preset, lock your reverb time, lock your mix control, and then let it just sort of randomly set up different characteristic settings, and then you can just kind of toggle through until you find one that you like, and then make some tweaks from there. So it's sort of like taking presetting to like a whole other level. So anyway, I really love this plugin. Really great one. And, you know, a lot of shaping, a lot of really, you know, great characteristic controls that you don't normally see in a plugin. So an unusual one, but a very cool one. Plugin of the week is the Sparkverb by UVI.